Alright, I got a couple options that I had in my router bit selection. This is a rope cutting bit that I've had for a long time, and I don't think I've even used it, to be honest with you. Maybe I have, but so this is, I don't know what the radius is on this, but this is the one I'm going to use. This one here is my biggest roundover bit. It's a 3/4 inch radius. But I want to use this one just because it's got a little gentler slope here. I'm going to use about that much of the bit. Maybe not even that much. About 3/4 of an inch, probably about that much right there. Just to slope up the underside of the seat. And let me show you on my seat here. So I'm going to cut on the bottom side with that bit. And what I don't want to do with that bit is go any further than a 1 inch. 1 inch is inside of this arc is a 12-inch diameter. This is 14 inch out here. I don't want to go past that because that's where my legs come to. I want to stay about maybe 3/4 of an inch. So that's why I say I'm only going to use about that much of the bit, which means my depth of cut will be probably about 3/16 or so. So it'll just give me that little gentle curve on the bottom, and then I'll round that, whatever's left right here, I'll round that over a little bit as well to match the top here, which is going to be a 3/8 round over bit. So let me get my router set up. I'm going to do the bottoms first, just because that'll be the hardest part, because I won't have a bit to ride against. I'll just have, there's no bit up here. I'll just have to set up my fence in such a way as I push it in there, it's touching both edges of my fence, which slides in and out, and I'll use that as my guide and just kind of gently push it around, raising the bit up just a little bit every time so I'm not taking that much off. But let me get it set up and I'll show you what I'm going to do here. The other thing about it is this thing that's a lot of bit to be spinning, so I got to slow my router down a little bit, but I'll take that into account as well. So let me get her set up and we'll be right back. Okay, I made a test cut on a piece of scrap here. You can see this is just the beginning. I'm going to like that, I think. But here's the problem. That was just a straight cut on my scrap. What I need to do, and I'll show you, and maybe you can see it already in the background there. That bit is in here, and that baby is spinning. I mean, I've got to slow it down, but it's spinning. But if I were to use these two edges as rub edges, first of all, they're sharp, and yeah, I know my piece isn't going to go in any farther than that, but it's going to go in deeper than what that initial cut was. So what I did was I just took a piece of scrap here, a piece of scrap cherry, I believe it is. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. Backed my fence up that 1/4 of an inch, and now I'm going to use that as my rub surface. And you can see that that's going to be a lot more control over what I'm doing here. So let me fire this up, and we'll make our first cut here and see how she looks. that looks pretty nice. So what I'm going to do now, I'll do the other. Okay, got them all, the initial cut. What I'm going to do here is I raised my bit an eighth, but I moved my fence forward by that same amount. I'm going to see what kind of cut that gives me. I know that, I know where the end of the bit is, and it's not too far away from being flush with the table here. And I think that that's going to be pretty close to what I want for a final cut. Not this one, but the next one. So let's just try this and see where we're at. That's looking good. I like that. And I'm in maybe, probably 5/8. Get my, there I can use my caliper right here. See where I'm at here. I'm in further than that. I'm in, just a little over 5/8. So I can go in a little bit more, or raise the bit just a little bit. That's a nice effect. I like that right there. All right, let me do the other three again, and we'll come back, and I'll make my final adjustment on that bit. We'll make our final cut, so I think it's only going to take 3 passes here. Okay, I made this last pass without you, but I like it. It's right there. So my depth of cut is probably, let's see, just under 3/8. This way, and my cut into the seat is just, it's just right on 3/4, which is where I want to be. I mean, I got to run it nice and slow, but that's what I'm looking for right there. So I'm going to take this, run it again nice and slow. What I may end up doing is taking it just because with my router table insert here, my router lift, I can crank this up ever so slightly just to take one more kiss cut off of this. The other way I could do it would be to back my fence up just a hair too. That would get, well, if I do that, that's going to change my depth of cut. They both are, either way. So let me run it. I'll run my other 3 here. I'll run one for you right now, and then I think I'll just adjust this up just a fraction. Maybe it's divided up into one turn is what is that? 1/8 of an inch. So if I go probably 128th of an inch, I guess. Just a smidge. Anyway, let's see how this one goes. Nice smooth finish too, I like that. Very little sanding. That router bit is, like I said, probably hardly ever been used, if at all, and it's really sharp. So that's helping out. There's no tear out, which I love. And I'm gonna make one more pass because you got the effect of it not giving you a true arc here. You got little segments. You can just barely feel it. But I think if I raise it up that little bit, I'll get a nicer cut. One thing I forgot to mention to you too is I'm just eyeballing this center, but if I'd have made a mark here, which I can do right now, you know, that's my center mark right there. And if I were to keep this tangent to that line, I'd be sure that I'd be getting a very consistent cut. I am anyway, but I'm going to give it one more shot here and raise it up just a smidge and see what it looks like. Just over 3/4, which is okay, but I'm still well inside my 1 inch right there. That's great. So my legs won't stick out too much, or they won't stick out at all, sorry. So that's it right there. That's my final pass. I'll do them all and then we'll do the tops here. Okay, just brought this back, put this on my set of legs that go with this one. This happens to be number 4. But my legs are 3/16 of an inch inside this arc right here, which is just, it is what it is, but it's going to be nice. It just has a nice look to it. So I'm going to treat this edge. You know, I don't know if I'm going to do it with a router bit or some sandpaper, but I'm going to get that rounded over a little bit. And then I'm going to do this edge here as well, you know, with a 3/4 or 3/8 round over bit. So let me get that started and done, and then when we come back, I'll show you how I'm going to use my seat scooping jig to take that profile out of the center of the disc here. And then they'll be pretty much done except for a little final sanding. All right, I'm going to show you my final pass only because I came up with a little unique way of holding this thing, and it works pretty well. Just put in a couple dowel pins here, and I can use them to pivot it and spin it, I should say. The one thing I do want to tell you is that to avoid burning, what I like to do is, first of all, I'm making a final pass, which is just a minor cut. But you don't want to stop on your bit. So you want to come into it moving, and if you're going to feel like you have to stop, pull it away as you're moving. Then come back and start again. And always keep it moving. So let's do this last pass here, show you how this works. Looks pretty nice to me. I like it. Got a little sanding to do. And like I say, I'm gonna feather. I've decided I'm just gonna feather this in with some sandpaper. That's my profile right there. I like it. All right. We'll get ready to set up the scooping jig, which is right over here. And then I got her all set to go. I'll show you more detail on that in just a minute. Okay, here's my jig. And the router rides on the sled here, or the sled that's attached to the router rides on these rails. So the thing to do then is to locate the pin on my center dowel over here. So what I'm going to do is just flip this over. Put this in. Bring it toward me a little bit so I can see better. I'll use my flashlight here to see if I can locate this hole. There it is. So I'll put my pin in. Alright. Now what I'm going to do here is put the pin in one of my holes. So this sits flush. That. And then I can clamp this to my bench. There. Now it can't get away from me. Okay, so now just bring the router up. And this just rocks back and forth. I'm going to start with the grain here. One thing I did earlier is I want this seat to come within about 3/4 of an inch of the outside edge, or looking back at my other one, maybe 3/4 of an inch of this rounded edge here. So I've got a depth stop set here, and I could do it this way. Hang on one second. Let me grab my tri-square here. I can make a mark. About, because it was a 3/8 round over, about 1 3/8 in. Right there. So we'll say right here is where I want the tip of this router bit to meet that edge, or to meet that point. Right there, and that is where my depth stop is set. So I'm going to bring it down to within about 1/8 of my stop, which means I won't be taking a full pass. But that's okay. I want to kind of sneak up on my final cut like I did with on my edges there. So let's see how this goes. All right, well, my dust collection doesn't do a lot of good, but I'm gonna leave it running anyway. I got a nice dish going there. I'm about 1 inch from my mark. So I'm gonna drop it down about halfway of my remaining cut here. See what that gets me. That's all the way. Yeah, that's too much, I think. I'm going to bring it back up a little bit here. There. I will make another series of passes, and then I'll make my final pass, and I'll come back to you after I get done with my finished cut, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, there's number one. That took about probably 10 minutes, I'm guessing. Let me take it out of the jig here. It worked really good. What I will tell you is this: while I was doing it, I worked from this side because this is not perfect. I think the slope up here is a little higher, so then I actually just worked from one edge here to the center, and I got a lot more consistent results. So let me pull my pin here. There we go. Well, I'll take a little sanding, but it's a nice dish. So that'll be a lot more comfortable than just sitting on that flat spot. So, very nice. I like it. I'll get it all sanded up, and I'll get the other three done first here. That'll take me probably half an hour or so, and then we'll come back and I'll have one sanded up and set on a stool, and we'll get an idea of what it looks like before I glue it up. So I'll be right back. Last one's coming out of the jig here. It did take me just about 30 minutes on the nose, even with cleanup time here. I wanted to show you what kind of, how much material I was removing. Let's see if I can grab something here. Give you a sense of what's coming out of there. So subtracting an inch from my ruler, I'm taking 3/8 of an inch. So a 3/8 inch dish. Looks very, very nice. So they're shaping up. I'm gonna sand them like I said. Go for a walk, and when I come back, I'll show you what one looks like. There she is. It's nice. Got a little more sanding to do on it, but turned out fantastic. So I've got the other three to do yet, but on my random orbit sander I only had a 150, but it didn't take me that long to clean this up. That router bit dishing was so close, the lines were so close, it just cleaned up probably in about 3 minutes or so, and then I just hit it with some 220 all the way around on the top. And like I say, I got a little bit more sanding to do on it, some hand sanding, but I really like the way it looks, especially this part here with the bevel. I call it a bevel, but it's actually a bit of a round over here. This part right here. And this is, I don't know if you can see that here. This is not burning. That's a little part of the wood there. So that gives it a little character. But overall, it's going to be a nice place to park your butt and have a little beverage. So when we come back, I should have everything put together, stained, or not stained, but finished, and then I'll show you the whole complete set.